And welcome back to Eye On Sports. Now, Jamaica's drought without a regional under-15 trophy has been extended by another year after the team flattered to deceive in the seventh straight year of the tournament. Well, the home team, Jamaican team, started with 2 victories, lost their remaining 3 matches, but they still managed to finish third overall. Barbados defended their title after beating Guyana by 4 wickets at Kensington Park in Wednesday's final round. However, the big issue here is what is causing the continued slide of the nation's youth program. No trophies. Of course, the youth program serves as a feeder system to the senior team, so this has to be addressed. Now, we're joined by Anil Cruikshank, the cricket operations manager at the JCA, to further dissect this problem. Anil, welcome to Eye On Sports.
Nice to be here.
Welcome back, as a matter of fact. Let's get straight to the issue. The last time Jamaica won a youth trophy would have been around about 2014. Before that would have been 2011. This has to be addressed because the likes of Barbados, Guyana, they continue to win the youth tournaments. We, not so much. And I say we, I mean Jamaica. Do you see this as a problem?
It is a problem because if we use winning as a measure of where we are and we're not winning, then it is a problem. And we have been looking at what has been causing that problem over the last couple of years. And we in Jamaica, we're used to winning at regional levels, both at the senior and junior levels. What we have identified some areas. One thing that has hampered us in the last couple of years is that even starting at the primary levels, which include primary and prep schools, right, we're still playing softball cricket with a softer ball. Right. We have a situation, basically, right. Yeah. Some of our youngsters are leaving that tournament and almost entering into an under-15 program because that's the first national program. So that's one aspect of it. That's not the same situation existing in the countries that you see doing pretty well. Another issue that we have found is that the high schools where the youngsters would start, when they get into the high schools, the tournament for them basically starts at maybe second form or third form. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So they have a period there, and sometimes we do lose some of our better players at that juncture. Right. We also have the situation where we also have not as many schools that are playing in the cricket competitions. So all of those
prior to
are
this,
part of
before now we had more schools?
We had more schools that were participating. Uh-huh. We were playing hardball cricket back then, but because of the lack of gear, right, we found ourselves having to use softer balls to introduce youngsters to the sport.
Let's take a look at this year's regional under-15 competition. We ended third, but we lost our last 3 matches, the consecutive matches. Yes. And this definitely caused us to not finish further up or even to win the tournament. How I don't know, have you assessed yet how we played in this tournament? And if so, or even if you haven't, what are your thoughts on how we...
Well, we haven't done the total assessment, but just looking at it to give an initial assessment is that, for me, the youngsters did very, very well. Mm.
Really? After losing 3 straight matches?
Well, if you were at the games, you would understand that the matches that the youngsters won, it perhaps turned on an over or 2 or part of a session.
But that's cricket, like that, as you would say.
Right, so I'm saying that the youngsters did well. They could have won all 3 games.
Mm. But right? They didn't.
But they didn't. So I'm saying that I still would say that they have done well, even though they did not go on to win the particular game. But you have to put it in context in terms of what we were dealing with years ago. Mm. It had been a long time. Last year was the first we had even won a match in the cricket tournament for a while. This year we won our first 2 games. Right. And as I said, we were very, very competitive in those games that we lost.
Now, these are the same set of youngsters who you'll be hoping to move on to the under-19 level and even under-17 if you have an under-17 competition to come. So what will you be doing between now and then to ensure that they improve? Because we haven't been winning at the under-17 or under-19 levels either. since the likes of Ramon Lewis back in 2014, 2015.
Because as you have rightly said, these are the youngsters who are stepping up.
Right.
What the JCA is very cognizant of the challenge of it, and we have started to address. And what you have seen in the under-15 performance this year, you are likely to see it in the under-17 performance this year. We started seeing higher performances of the under-19s last year. Right. Because what we have done, we have started to prepare cricketers in a program. We're not looking necessarily to prepare a team to win a competition. Right. The competition is part of the program. Mm-hmm. So we believe that that is a better way to structure our development than to say, okay, we're just looking to win a competition. Mm-hmm. And we have started that process. And I think you're seeing those, you're going to see better performances mm-hmm. as a result of those efforts.
Do we have the right coaches at that level? Because it also comes down to coaching as well. We go back to the great Junior Bennett. Many came through his hands when we were winning those youth tournaments quite frequently. And we could go right through. Terence Cork would be amongst them as well. When you look at the current crop of coaches that we have available, do we have the right persons there?
We have different coaches. Junior Bennett is still around. We do have different coaches. I wouldn't go as far as say whether we have the right coaches. Mm-hmm. Different coaches bring different things to the table. One mm-hmm. thing that we have tried to do at the JCA in recent times is to look at what exactly is the philosophy of cricket that we want to embrace in Jamaica. We haven't signed off on that yet. Mm-hmm. However, all our coaches that coach at the national level have to be at a certain level, and they're all level 3 coaches now. Right. So we are not going to get any higher level coaches available to mm-hmm. us. Mm-hmm. At the end of every tournament, we do those assessments, and we look and see what is the impact, including the coaches in this situation.
Can we take a lead from even track and field, our youth track and field programs, where GC Foster produces the coaches, and they're spread right across the island. It's not just people see the performances of the athletes, but they sometimes forget that behind the scenes are the coaches who are now spread right across the island. Not just the traditional schools who still win champs, but we see more of the non-traditional schools as well. Can cricket take a leaf from this and have more coaches, more qualified coaches spread across the island to help this situation?
If you want to say we have copied, or we're trying to copy that particular formula, GC Foster does assist in that part because they also graduate cricket coaches. Right. But we have stepped up our cricket coaches programs, and every year we have more sessions mm-hmm. For coaches. So we're actually doing that. And part of that is because we are also engaged with schools and the school cricket sports association to say that we must produce a certain number of coaches, because by 2019, particularly coaches who in high school must be at a certain level. Mm-hmm. So we are rolling out that, and I think maybe in another 2 or 3 years, we'll begin to see, just like you say, in track and field, where we have coaches who are now going to be able to go around and be able to impart better technical knowledge. Right.
You mentioned earlier, pointed to maybe a systemic issue. Yes. And a part of this is also the transition of the youth cricketers to the senior ranks. Are you comfortable with those you see making that transition? Persons like Ramon Lewis, outstanding. We've seen him make that transition, playing for the Ghana Amazon Warriors, for instance. But in terms of that, what is your take?
Well, I'm not comfortable. Mm-hmm. They get to the senior levels. They do get there. Mm-hmm. I'm not satisfied, and I don't think a lot of us in cricket are yet satisfied with what happens when they get there. And that is also part of what we're looking into. And that's why I say to you right now, we have a greater focus on our youth development programs to ensure that when they get to the national programs, so whether it be under 15, under 17, or the senior programs, we don't have to have the coaches spending the time doing the coaching at that level. Right? They should be fine-tuning, they should be working strategies for tournaments and not necessarily doing the amount of coaching that they have to do. And, you know, we perhaps don't have the time on this program to go through all of that, but a lot of that has to do with what is happening at the levels below, which is in the schools. And that is where we're trying to have some impact. That's why we're trying to make more coaches available to the schools to have the results that we want at that level.
Guyana, Barbados back-to-back champions. It wouldn't be a bad thing to take a lead from them, to play them more before the competition even begins. Because I know Guyana and Barbados, even Trinidad, they play each other in youth tournaments before the regional youth tournaments. Is that something we can look at?
Well, part of the issue is cost and the distance between the various islands. We are way up south. They are way up north, I should say. They are more. That's easier for them to go across islands in that era. But you, as you said, you can recall that there was a time when Jamaica was at the top of the tree in regional cricket at all the levels. Right. They perhaps copied what we were doing and have gone ahead of us. Up. Maybe. Yeah. So we just have to do what we have to do, and we have recognized that we're not sitting down and saying, okay, what are we to do about it? We're actually doing something about it. And as I said, even though we have come third and you said it's not winning, we believe that we're seeing the results of the program that we have put in place.
Anil Cruikshank, thank you so very much for joining us here on Eye On Sports. We must pull up stumps now, but we'll be following up with you.
Thank you for
Thank you once again. All right, so we go to a break and come back with lots more here on Eye On Sports.